Afternoon. I'm just going to wait to make sure we're going live in the group. So just hang tight for just a second. I hate that you can't see it really clearly. So I just wanted to jump on today and talk about how I know that right now things seem really hard for a lot of you. And so, for those that you don't know me, I am Leslie Leondis with Leondis CPA, where I still do have a bookkeeping and tax firm as well. So I understand kind of what you're going through right now, but I also kind of wanted to give you a little bit of motivation because I know I've seen a lot of negativity, not only with our clients, um, our coaching clients, but also within the industry itself on Facebook, and then just talking to other accountants. So I just want to kind of talk about that a little bit. Um, because there's this misconception that things have to be this way this time of year. And I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be this way. And why I know you probably don't want to hear this right now, I want you to think about in the future because we have like another month left between payroll reports, tax season, and the end of a lot of the deadlines, minus the states. So I just want to talk about a little bit about where do you want to go from here? So, like, if you don't ever want to do this type of season again, where do you want to go in the future? Because this is the ideal time, even though it might not seem like it, to actually start thinking about this a little bit, even if it's just for 30 minutes to give yourself a little time to figure out where you want to go. Because if you don't make a plan of where you want to go for the next season, or even at the end of the year when we're coming down to the extension season, because I know this is affecting bookkeepers, tax preparers, all about the same, because I've seen bookkeepers that are also struggling with this same concept. So, but if you don't know what you actually want, how do you know where you're going to get there? And that's a key thing to figure out, because one thing I've noticed in our coaching programs is the ones that actually have a vision of where they want to go, even if they don't have it when they start working with us, it pushes them through times like this. So we have been still working with tax preparers through this time, but they're also making small little tweaks as they go. So next season it is not as bad. And that's exactly how you pivot your firm to what you want. Because there's a lot of people that believe that this is the way it has to be, and it does not have to be this way. So if you believe that it has to be this way, or doesn't have to be this way, can you comment below? Because I kind of want to get a pulse on where people's thoughts are. Because a lot of times we blame the clients, but a lot of times it is not the clients that is the problem. The problem is we're feeling burnout, we're feeling tired, we're feeling frustrated. So therefore, we're just not in the right frame of mind. So a lot of things I coach on is like client experience. What does that experience look like? And while that might not seem important to you right now, it should be in the future. Because if you want to actually have a firm that you want, love, it's financial operational freedom, that's why you started it. That's where you need to think through, what experience do I want my clients to feel? And I've been asking this question a lot lately, is because there's been a lot of things. Well, I don't return phone calls for 3 or 4 days a week or whatever. But if you are your client, how would that make you feel? Is that a great client experience? I know I personally would not like that, or have to keep following up. Hey, where's my tax return? Where's this? And keep having to ask questions. So think about some of this from a client perspective and who you want to work with. So a lot of our coaching clients are going through and they're marking like, I am not going to work with this person next year. I am not going to work with this person next year. And they have their reasons why. So those are things you can do right now during tax season to get where you want to go. So I'm not asking you to do anything hard. I'm just asking you to think it through. Like, is this a client problem? Like, or is this an us problem? Because I've seen it both ways. So because you want to make sure that as you're one, and if you're wanting to increase prices, well, what is the client experience with those increased prices? So, and this goes back to, what do you want? So the way I have done this for many, many, many years is I looked at what revenue I wanted, how many clients I wanted to work with. I did the math on that. So my average price I figured out what my average price needed to be. So if you're like really, really overworked right now and you want something different, you need to figure out what revenue do you want, and then what's your average price, and divide it. How many clients is that to work with? And if it's way more clients than you want to work with, you have some work to do. So the key in moving anything is to have a plan. So it's no different than traveling. If you're going to go from New York to California, you have to have a Google map or some sort, or you're going to get lost along the way. Well, your business is the same way. You have to have a plan to get there. And if you don't have that plan, I'm not saying right now is the time to get to that plan. I'm just saying think through a little bit. Who do I want to work with? And I'm not saying go journal on it like forever or whatever. But as you're going through this time of year, who do I want to work with? What type of services do I want to provide? Do I want to provide these simple 1040s? If you don't, then don't do it next year. Start making a plan to replace the income. That's exactly how I transitioned to the model that I have, where I don't have a whole lot of 1040s. The 1040s I do have are tied to my bookkeeping side, and they're tied to S Corps, they're tied to C Corps, they're tied to partnerships, because that's what model I wanted for my business. Because those are the type of tax returns I do enjoy, and that is that I can have my team do as well. And then also, what kind of team do you want? If you're struggling with your team during this time, is it a people process problem, a process problem, or a system problem? But the people that have the most results in making changes in their business are ones that start making a plan, and they start identifying areas of opportunity that they need to tap into. And I'm not saying do everything at one time, but make a plan so we can actually work through that plan. And during this time of year, there are simple things you can do just by making a client list. This is my terminate list as soon as the season is over. This is my terminate service list as soon as the season is over. So that way you have a plan going forward, and you can easily start removing people from you if you want, or how much money is it that you're going to have to replace? Because the key time to market, and I just had this conversation with one of my clients, is not in the summer when people aren't looking for tax preparers or bookkeepers, because most of the time during the summer, they're not looking for them. And that's when accountants think they need to market. But that is not the ideal time to market. So you have to think, what do I want differently for next tax season? And that will have to include a marketing plan. So just think of these things as you're going through and just jot them down. I'm not asking you to do anything hard, because I know you're really busy at this time of year. But if you don't start working on your business now, when are you going to start? So one of the key components is, I said, systems is one of the key issues that I see. What if your systems is not working? Is it your pipeline isn't working in your task management system? Is it the tax return system is not working like you want it to? Is it in bookkeeping world, is it that you need a receipt system? In tax land, is it that clients are bringing you boxes of receipts? Do you need to find a system for that it's easier for you to do the returns based on that? There's all systems for all of these problems, but you have to identify which ones are the most painful for you at the time. So after the season is over, you know what you need to go look for. So this is how I made this transition in my business, by picking one thing to work on at a time. Because what I've noticed is a lot of times accountants, they will go all in to like 20 different things because they're trying to solve 20 different problems. But the key is to stay focused on one. So in our coaching program, we have one program that is nothing but task management. So if task management is your biggest issue, that is the ideal coaching part for you to build your task management system. While we use ClickUp and we think ClickUp is amazing, there are some other great ones out there. So, but you have to decide that, hey, task management is my biggest system problem. And then then that's why we have solved that. If you have process problems because your team doesn't know what to do, so everything lands back on your plate, then we have a process coaching program for that, to help you with your processes, because we've been where you're at. And so we understand what processes. We also give you processes to start with. So you're not starting from scratch. And we know what processes work, because these processes have worked with people that have no experience in the industry. So, and then if you're having trouble leading, we have a leadership group where we teach you how to lead. And leading is not as easy as just go do that. And you hope that it goes all right, because that's usually not what's going to happen. So we dive deep into leadership. We dive deep into pricing. And the reason why I want to tell you about these 3 specific calls is because we have seen people that are in them and they move from call to call depending on what they're working on. So if they're working on task management specifically, that's the only one they're involved in. So it keeps them extremely focused on task management. Then once they've solved that problem, then they'll move to processes and work on that until they've solved that problem. And the key time to do any of this is when you're bottlenecked in both places. And I did not say for either one of these that you have to be the one doing it. You can have a team member do this. It doesn't have to be you. So if you're struggling with anything that I talked about, make sure that you reach out to us to see how we can help you. Just comment me below and one of us will reach out to you. Because even though it's tax season, we have a month left. It's time to let's start moving a little bit, because I've seen so many people burned out and trying to just put one foot in front of the other. And I know it can be different. And that is what I'm here to do, is make it different. So if you want any type of help, let's have a conversation to see where you're at, where you want to go. Just comment me below. And hopefully this was helpful during this time of year, just to give you some things that you can work on even during this time of year. I hope that you have a great rest of your day and a happy Easter.